The Women's Fund for Scotland is Scotland's only dedicated fund for women and girls. I'm Susan Morrison, and this is our podcast where we talk to inspiring women improving the lives of those women and girls today. In this episode, we go to the city on the Tay to speak to Kristina and Amina about a venerable Dundee institution. So, hello to Kristina and Amina.
Hello. Hello.
Are you joining us from sunny Dundee on the Silvery Tay?
We sure are. We're joining you from Dundee. I wouldn't say it's sunny this morning. It's a little bit cold, windy and wet. But yes, we're both in Dundee today.
So, Kristina, if we can just come to you and talk about the International Women's Centre there. Can you just give us a bit of background and what you do and how long have you actually been there?
Yeah, so I am the manager here at Dundee International Women's Centre. I have only been here, believe it or not, it was a year yesterday. So that was my 1 year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Of kind of managing the centre. So we are Dundee International Women's Centre. Sometimes we get called DIWC. If you speak to anyone within Dundee and say DIWC, they will know exactly what you're meaning. We are a centre that's been running from 1969, actually.
Wow.
So, yeah, over 50 years now. And really what we're about is supporting women, really with an emphasis on women from Black and minority ethnic communities, really to encourage them, to engage in education, employment, learning. And it's really about building their kind of confidence, self-esteem, and just really having a sense of belonging. We are in a centre here, so we are in an old converted mill in Dundee, and it's a lovely kind of building. From the front, it's a bit like a TARDIS. You come in, you see the front door, you think this building looks really, small. You come in, we have got a really bright, vibrant main area where women will kind of sit, have tea, coffee. We offer a lunch club as well, so it's a really kind of social gathering place, I would say, from women from a whole host of different kind of backgrounds and communities. And really what we find, women come to us in the first instance to learn English. So that's what gets women through the doors. But once they're in, they get involved in a whole host of different kind of activities we've got timetabled, which is amazing.
That is remarkable that you've been there for, not you, that DIWC has been there for 50 years. It's quite radical that 50 years ago to be so welcoming to women from all earths and pairs, as they say. But that's and you seem to have, do you outreach to people coming in, or do women just find you?
It's a bit of both. So I would say particularly since COVID, I suppose we've went through a stage of rebuilding after COVID. Being a learning centre, a lot of the activities went online. And for some women, we know that childcare is a massive barrier for women. So, a lot of women weren't able to participate fully in a lot of the activities during COVID. So since then, what we've done, when we came back to the centre in kind of 22, end of 21, 22, it's really been a time for us rebuilding the charity, as we're kind of recovering from the impact of the pandemic and I suppose the uncertainty that came with that. So from that, we've been working a lot in partnership with a lot of agencies around Dundee, really to kind of educate around what it is we offer here. We offer like over 22 different classes on a weekly basis to women, and that could be from educational classes such as learning English. We have a French class. We offer a National Play Care Award, to women as well. So, we've got those kind of educational class, but we've got the social classes such as, a friendship class or a sewing class, arts and crafts. So we have been going out and working in partnership with, looking at the council, Dundee and Angus College, some other kind of voluntary organisations, really to, I suppose, raise our profile around this is what we do and where we are. Along with that, we're well recognised, I would say, in a lot of communities within the Dundee area as well. So what we find when new women are coming to join the centre, and we ask, where did you hear about DIWC? A lot of the time they will say, from a family member or a friend within their community. So we really are kind of highly thought of, I've got to say, in regards to how women come along to the centre. And at the moment as well, we were kind of having a wee look to see the women that come to the centre, what is the different ethnic origins that are represented. And we have women from more than 60 different ethnic origins come to us, from that are living within Dundee at the moment. So I think that's just phenomenal, to know, I suppose, the diversity that we've got, within the centre.
That is incredible. It's like you're running a mini United Nations there.
Definitely.
And if in fact we could get all of these women together to run a United Nations, I have a sneaky feeling the world might be a slightly better place.
I agree.
Oh, listen, I've met Dundonian women, whether by birth or by adoption. If they say sit down and stop that, you sit down and stop that.
Yes.
And speaking of that, I'm going to turn now to Amina, because you have a very specific task within the DIWC. I must get that right. So Amina, what is your role within the organisation?
My role within the organisation is to teach English as a foreign language. So I'm an ESOL tutor at the Dundee International Women's Centre. So my role at the centre specifically is a functional role. That's what I think of myself, is I'm there to support women to be able to provide them language, to provide them the knowledge and understanding for them to be able to use that classroom knowledge and go out there and function and to be able to confidently enhance their life and the community that they live in. From an ESOL perspective, I teach 2 levels. So that's what we call a beginners plus level. So that's just learners just once they've found the confidence and relation with the language, but they're not fluent. And then I have an intermediate class, a pre-intermediate class, which is a class which is ready for progression towards higher education or providing the skill set and confidence to be able to go into different institutions where they might be able to find a higher level of English learning. In the digital class, actually, when we started recruiting for the digital class, of course, we opened it up to everyone. And I purposely did that, because when I sat down with Kristina was like, are we going to aim it to a certain group, or what is your strategy? And I said to her, I feel that the digital skills are so, they're almost a necessity now. They're not a luxury. So let's open it out to everyone. Once I've got that, I'll understand the learner's needs and I'll gauge the levels that we are. And then I'll come back to you with a proposal of what I'm away to do. And I did the exact same with numeracy.
Kristina, if I can just switch back to you for a second, what I'm fascinated by there is the fact that you spoke to Amina and she said, this is a good idea. But then I'm struck by the fact that Amina said, I'm going to go away and write a proposal. So it seems to me that you empower your staff and your workers a great deal. Would that be right?
Definitely. I think here at the centre, we are a team, together, and it's about working together. We have a lot of really experienced staff, that obviously they're in their jobs because of the skills they've got. So they very much get the remit. They know the women that come into the centre, they know their classes. So, it's very much around them, if they've got ideas, it might be that, we think, right, this will work. But then like Amina coming back to say, no, I'm going to maybe pitch it to all learners. They do get that kind of free rein, I suppose, to really try things, In that class that Amina's speaking about, the digital class on a Tuesday afternoon, Amina's able to offer that from money we got from the Women's Fund. So we got some money from the Women's Fund, and that was to employ Amina for 5 hours per week to offer this digital class. And that's the difference that it's making to the learners that we've got coming in here.
That's a lovely idea, that money raised by women went to women to help women. And I think that's just a lovely cycle, isn't it? And Amina, I'm also struck by the fact that you're not just teaching language or digital skills, but you're also building confidence. And that's would you say that's a vital part of your job, Amina?
Absolutely. I always say this whenever I'm in a position where I can express myself about language. And for me, yes, grammar is important, vocabulary is important, but it's exceptionally important for me that my students, when they leave out their door, they have something to put in their toolkit that's going to go out them and help them either in a vulnerable situation, in a successful situation with their children, which is really, really important to me. That, you know, when they leave our classes, if I, as a facilitator, can give them that additional inspiration or reason to be able to invest their time and learning in the language, and for them to see an outcome. Because for me, I always think, why should they learn the language, or why? And that's something that I have within my strategy all the time, the why. For me, the measure of success is not, right, they got a job or they opened a business. It's everything that comes in between, because that's the journey. That's what shapes me, and that's what goes and makes me become unique in my stand and be able to make a real difference in society.
I love the fact that your outcomes are not the traditional hardcore outcomes that are expected from groups at the moment. Breaking down isolation, there's no measure for that. And I feel that that's what you're doing fantastically well.
We definitely are. I would agree it could be really hard to capture that kind of isolation, you know, sometimes for the women. For example, where I kind of sit within the centre, my desk looks out into the main area. And yesterday, what we're trying to do is we work in partnership quite a lot with Police Scotland. And really it's around looking at, you know, we're a third party reporting centre around hate crime. And we've been doing some work around kind of hate crime. You know, it was Hate Week back in October. So we try and invite the local kind of, you know, community policing department along. So we've got a lunch club, you know, on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So we invite, you know, the local policing along for their lunch. So they came in yesterday, and which was lovely. And I just caught out the corner of my eye one of the ladies that comes into the centre giving one of the police officers a massive hug. Now, I thought, oh, that is lovely. The reason being, I remember when we first invited the police in last year, it's two female police officers that came in, full uniform on, you know, they're still on shift. And this lady was so fearful when she saw them coming in that she came over to a staff member and said, why are the police here? Are they here to arrest someone? Like, what's wrong? Has something happened? Because in her country, you do not trust the police. You know, police are not someone that you would go to if you needed help. And that's what we're trying to break down. So, you know, actually seeing that woman, so, you know, once we explain to her, no, they're just here for their lunch, you know, they're available, you know, if you want to speak to them about anything. So she actually sat and had lunch with them that day, you know, when she was really fearful, and she was giggling away, you know, with them. They were having a laugh. And then to see her face, because she's been away on holiday, and when she seen them coming in, she had a big smile on her face yesterday, right over to the police officer and a big hug. That for us is the outcomes. If you could capture that, you know, in a photo and really know, you know, where that was for that woman seeing a police officer in the centre, how do you put that on paper? How do you measure that, you know, in that relationship that's kind of caused? You know, it is difficult to really evidence that sometimes, but these unforeseen, I suppose, outcomes that we're creating in the centre on a daily basis, I would say, is just amazing.
Yeah, I think we're sort of like operating in a world that sees things just in aims and objectives. But if I just come back to you very briefly, Amina, to say that it was the funding from the Women's Fund for Scotland that got your position. Would that be right?
That's correct, yes.
And through that, you seem to have made the kind of impact that you imagine if you throw a handful of gravel into a still pond, all those ripples going out that you seem to have created. What a great job you have.
I know I'm extremely blessed, you know, and I do tell myself a lot of the times, you know, that, and I think actually you're very right, Susan, this actually helps me in my personal life. You know, as we all know, as whether we're women, men, children, we all have to face challenges at every, you know, time in our life, just as much as we celebrate success. And actually, when I've got a situation, you know, where I feel, you know, what I really need to change this, or how can I support myself through this, is I just look at the work that I'm able to do, and also I reflect on how blessed perhaps I am in the position that I am, that okay, things are not great for me, they could be a lot better, but ultimately the fact that that the work that we've been able to do, and the women that I daily support, I have got it relatively easy.
Oh, Amina, you're a guardian angel, a guide, a friend to these women. And thank you very much, Kristina and Amina.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us and listening to this story. I hope you've been inspired. And if you would like to support the Women's Fund for Scotland, search for us online and listen out for our other podcast episodes.